And hello. Welcome to Not a Hockey Market Podcast. I am your host, JDM or George Demoya. What's going on, everybody? This is a great introduction into the show. Gotta say, we're doing this on StreamYard. We're just recording right now. We're not technically live, but eventually we will start going live when it comes to the show. Um, Thrilled to be a part of this, thrilled to be able to finally be putting some action into my work. I love doing this kind of stuff. So, for starters, I am a huge hockey guy. All right, that's what it comes down to. I've been a hockey guy my whole life. I've been playing since I was 10 years old. And you're wondering, how the hell am I a hockey guy? Well, it started with a combination of Mark Messier and Gordon Bombay uh, and the Rat. So right around that time, early 90s, you had the New York Rangers were big, and Mark Messier makes a promise of winning game 7. He goes on, or excuse me, winning game 6, goes on to win game 6, wins game 7, winning the Stanley Cup. You also had a huge movie phenomenon of the Mighty Ducks on top of the Year of the Rat coming through. So all around that time, I was a kid looking for a sport that I could really sink my teeth into, and it turned out to be hockey. And there's a huge group of us. And yes, we're all in South Florida. We're in Miami-Dade County, 305, close to where the old Miami Arena used to damn be. These guys are huge hockey fanatics, and we're going to prove to you that just because you say, oh, that's not a hockey market, I don't think so. And that's why we're calling this the Not a Hockey Market podcast, where I will be bringing to you focused on the NHL overall, but hyper focused on those NHL cities that are not claimed to be a hockey market. You know, Tampa Bay, Florida, um, Columbus, Nashville, Arizona, even Ottawa, Vegas, even though Vegas completely blew up as soon as people were talking about Vegas, are like, get the hell out of here. The Seattle Kraken eventually when they come into the league. So we'll be focusing on all those kinds of things here on Not a Hockey Market podcast. And just a shout out, we are affiliated and a member of Podcast City Network. So Not a Hockey Market podcast is a proud member of Podcast City Network. And you can go to podcastcity.net, find a whole selection of shows. PCN is also your home for up-and-coming independent podcasts. Follow them on Facebook, facebook.com/podcastcitynetwork. Also on Twitter, @podcastcitynet. And for YouTube, go into the search bar and type in Podcast City Network. For all your independent podcast needs. Definitely really thrilled to be a part of it and to be with these guys on the Podcast City Network. Be sure to also follow us on all our different social media channels on IG. This is presented by @90miles Media. You can check out my @Couch Dads podcast as well, and @Podcast City Net or @Final Score. That's another place that you guys have seen me before, is @Final Score. You can find us on IG at those channels there below as they're ticking along. You can also find us on Facebook, where we will be broadcasting and playing our shows. Facebook @90miles Media, @Final Score, and @Podcast City Network. So be sure to do that. Going through. This is being powered by StreamYard, but we are, or I say we, and I'm talking about me right here. This is the Not a Hockey Market podcast. So we're going to start talking right off the bat. Let's get into it. The NHL and the NHL Players Union, they had a clear eye on January 13th to be the start of the 2020-21 season. So the 2020 season is going to start in 2021. That is the most 10-second delay I've ever heard in my entire life. That is absolutely hysterical. So they're looking at right now the latest reports, and it's been ever changing. We know that there was a huge deal when it came to this whole thing that the NHL Players Union had to fight back against the owners because they wanted to add some deferment percentages to this. Unfortunately, Gary Bettman, backtracked when it came to that and made sure that there wouldn't be an additional 10% deferment on players' salaries, and they kept it into the side of the players. And despite players that they were frustrated of the idea of like a change in financial agreement, even though it was already agreed upon 5 months ago, um, they did bring a lot of extra ideas to kind of push that aside for the collective bargaining agreement. So that is what they're looking at right now. They're trying to figure out ways to help the owners with cash flow, because if the owners can't provide some sort of cash flow, then there's no freaking league. So they understood the point of it, but they didn't like the fact that they did it after already agreeing to a deferment salary 5 months earlier. So it's completely understandable. You kind of got to understand it from the owner's perspective. I know that's very difficult for anybody to fucking say, but you got to kind of look at it that way as well. So we are looking at a January 13th start date, maybe a little bit later. But the big story, in my opinion, when it comes to the NHL right now, of what we're talking about, is the division alignments. This is some interesting shit. I mean, right off the bat, the division alignments have been set. Boston, Buffalo, Jersey, Isle, Rangers, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Washington. Holy crap. This is a division that is fucking stacked. Okay? Boston, huge team. Isles, huge team, have come out of nowhere. The Rangers just secured the number one pick with Panman, with the Breadman, with Panarin, and other young stars. You got Ovi and Sydney also still in the same division. And then you tap on Philadelphia, that really broke out last year and really came into play. Their defensive core is one of the best defensive cores that you'll see out there, and they're young. And Boston's still not going to go away. And Buffalo was supposed to be a rising star. They keep saying that Buffalo is going to be a rising star. We never know if that's ever going to come to fruition, but that is a stacked division. Easily, out of all of them, this is the best division in the NHL, in my opinion. What else is there to say about it? Two New York teams that are on the rise, a Philadelphia team that's back, a Buffalo team that's supposed to break out, the consistent success of Pittsburgh and Washington and Boston. Are you kidding me with this division? The hell out of here. So that's one division that they're looking at. The next division is also quite interesting. So we go from probably one of the toughest, possibly one of the weakest. How can you say that? JDM, how can you say that that is possibly one of the weaker divisions, considering who's in that division? The Tampa Bay Lightning, the Stanley Cup champs, along with Carolina, Columbus, Detroit, Chicago, Florida, Minnesota, and Nashville. Now, definitely in terms of geography, this division makes absolute sense. It's all right down the middle. You got a great rivalry that'll be a historic rivalry with Detroit and Chicago. We've been waiting for this Panthers Tampa Bay rivalry to really come into fruition for many, many years. Hopefully it'll actually happen. But I also think you got the Minnesota Chicago rivalry that is also still in play. Despite Chicago and Minnesota kind of trending downwards, and Detroit has been struggling. So you got three teams in this division that are really, really struggling. And Florida is still trying to figure out if the Florida Panthers are good enough to even be in the conversation. We've been talking about the Florida Panthers breaking out for a few years now as well, similar to Buffalo, and they still have yet to fucking do it. It pisses me off as a Florida Panther fan. But that's what it comes down to. This division's a little bit weaker out of majority of them because of that. But It's definitely interesting. It makes sense geographically, especially with how the 2020-21 season is going to play out. So that is definitely what we are looking at. As we move on to the next division, which is like our West division, you have, let me go ahead and redo that there. You have Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, Dallas, the Kings, San Jose, St. Louis, and Vegas. Very, very strong division here. Even with the California teams like the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks and the Kings that have struggled, you have Colorado, that is one of the top teams right now with Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Landeskog, uh, Kale McCarr. Geez, they're deep. They are deep and dangerous. You put them with the up and coming success of the Vegas Golden Knights, they are deep. They are dangerous. Robert Leonard showed up and showed out last playoffs in the bubble, really proving that him and Marc-Andre Fleury could possibly coexist and be one of the better goalie tandems in the NHL. You also still have St. Louis. St. Louis is also extremely deep with one of the best two-way centers in the game in Ryan O'Reilly. Dallas on the rise. They showed that they have some explosive firepower on the blue line with Miro Heiskanen back there. I mean, they are also very dangerous. I heard somebody said Anton Khudobin is a top 10 goaltender. As much as I want to say yes, he's a short dude. He drinks beer. He doesn't give a shit. I would love for that dude to be a top 10 goaltender in the NHL. I just don't see it. I think he was very successful last year, and I'm really thrilled for his success on that, but I don't believe he is a top 10 goaltender. Time will tell. I would love to be proven wrong on that, but NHL Network was really, going balls to the walls on saying Anton Khudobin's a top 10 goaltender. I don't know about that, guys. I really don't know about that. As we're going through these divisions, I want to say this is the next one that is the epitome of 2020. And yes, it's the Canadian division. So in our Canadian division, you have the Calgary Flames, the Edmonton Oilers, the Canadiens, the Habs, the Sens, the Leafs, the Canucks, and the Jets. Very competitive division. Absolutely. We know that Ottawa is going through a rebuilding year. We know that Calgary and Edmonton don't have defense or goaltending. They think they do, but they never really do. Montreal is on the rise. Vancouver has been a absolute force. It will be fun to see Connor McDavid versus Austin Matthews battling to see who wins this division, because that's what it's gonna come down to. Austin Matthews is being voted on as the new Quadzilla. If you haven't seen that Instagram post yet, stop what you're doing right now as a hockey guy. Go check that shit out. The dude's quads are just unbearable, man. He is an absolute Quadzilla. He looks poised to have a monster year. Austin Matthews does. Connor McDavid, one of the most explosive players we've seen in a very long time. And it will be interesting to see what the Vancouver Canucks do with that young core and an absolute sniping beauty. You don't even see the fucking puck in Elias Pettersson. He is just, an absolute beast, an absolute legend right now. Not a legend, but he's pretty fucking good, if you ask me. Lots of young talent here in this Canadian division. Hopefully, they don't break off and decide to leave the NHL and have their own damn trophy. That would be very Montreal of them to do, if you ask me. But it'll be fun to see this, because once you break down in these divisions and you start going to the playoffs, you're going to be positioning some top Canadian teams in the top seeds, like if top 3 seeding, where they'll be playing some lower seeds from the other divisions and actually have a good track to make some noise in the playoffs, which is always very good for TV ratings and for TSN and for the Canadian fans, because if there's a Canadian team in the hunt in the final four of the Stanley Cup playoffs, TV ratings go up. That's what it comes down to. And right now, let's face it, we need that to stay consistent for it to go up, especially if we are going to have fans in the stands, if we're not going to have fans, and with the 2020 COVID year that we had, the NHL is on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to making dollars. But we all know, as hockey fans, this is not a hockey market podcast. We don't give a fuck. Okay. You can lock out us for an entire year. We're still going to come back and watch hockey, because that's how dedicated hockey fans are, period. So, I mean, you can't get any better than that. The dedication of hockey fans is just as dedicated as Podcast City Network is. So Podcast City, they offer an array of memberships services, including logo design and branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and much, much more. You also gain access to that network of shows to help with cross promotion, guests, and overall reach, while becoming part of our ever expanding PCN community based on people helping people. The best part, no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network. There you have it. That's the pitch. That's why I am doing this. I am now a part of the Podcast City Network. We will be bringing cross promotion with other shows, other secret hockey fans that are out there. Sponsorship opportunities will definitely be available locally and anywhere you are. Doesn't really matter. So be sure to tune in to that. That is my best attempt at a good transition to one of our final score guys, Mr. Chris Wilson. I hope that was a good transition for you, bud. I hope you definitely enjoyed that. So definitely make sure to check that out. All right, moving right along with our show here. The next thing that we definitely want to talk about is a Christmas tradition that I'm not sure many of you are aware of or know about, but the World Juniors of hockey have always been kind of like a Christmas tradition. All the time around Christmas, the World Juniors show up, and you have Russia versus Sweden, you have Finland and Sweden, Canada versus the US, Austria, Slovakia, Slovenia, bunch of countries coming together for a World Junior tournament. Many of these players are draft eligible for 2021, or many of them have just been drafted. So you get to see some top prospects from some of your favorite NHL teams. Now, what's really cool about this is the World Juniors has been scheduled to start on Christmas Day, on December 25th in Edmonton, in a nice little bubble. So, no fans or anything like that. But I mean, come on. You get to watch exciting hockey with a bunch of young studs that are going to be the future of the NHL. If you're a casual NHL fan and you like watching around this time and you're like, man, there's no hockey on at all whatsoever, and I got to wait until January. Nope. We got some coming for you. So be sure to tune in. Next week, we will delve into more about the World Juniors, but I want to make sure that I leave you guys with a little something here. I want to make sure that you guys don't go hungry. Okay? So I have here for you some players to watch at the World Juniors. All right? So these are definitely some players you want to keep your eye on when you hear their name, especially if you're a fan of the particular team that they were recently drafted from. Definitely take a look. So from the get-go, we have Quentin Byfield. He was the number 2 overall pick for the LA Kings in this past draft, which is the highest rated African American player to be selected, second overall. After him came Seth Jones from the Columbus Blue Jackets, who was selected fourth overall by the Nashville Predators before being traded to Columbus. So Quinton Byfield goes as the number 2 overall pick to the LA Kings. He will be playing for Team Canada. This dude is an absolute beast. He's big, he's physical, and he has great hands in close with the net. For playing for Team Sweden, another player that you see there, Alexander Holtz, a first-round pick for the New Jersey Devils, and Lucas Raymond, a first-round pick for the Detroit Red Wings. I threw that one in there for my buddy from Final Score, Mr. Craig, who's a big Detroit Red Wings fan. Lucas Raymond, Alexander Holtz, two of the best shots in the first round. They easily have wicked snipers. Those two guys can get the puck off their stick real fast, real accurate, and they definitely know how to put the puck in the net. You could definitely see some very nice snipey goals from those two guys for Team Sweden. And over for Team Finland is Anton Lundell, aka Mini Barkov. He was the first round pick for the Florida Panthers. He will be wearing the C for Team Finland. So that is a big accomplishment for him. Let's just put it this way. In one game, guys, he put up 11 points. 11 points. I think it was like freaking 4 goals and 8 assists or some shit like that in a huge rout in a Finland Elite Pro game. This dude put up 11 points. He could be pro ready come next year. Not sure yet, but I'd like him to be. That'd be nice. Selfishly, I'd like him to be. So those are a few guys that you definitely want to watch. I'm not done. No, not done at all. Here are a couple more. Jake Sanderson, who and Spencer Knight, both playing for Team USA. Jake Sanderson was a first-round pick for the Ottawa Senators, and Spencer Knight was a first-round pick last year. So not 2020 draft, but the draft before that for the Florida Panthers, and he will be the starting goaltender for Team USA. When you got to go up against guys like Alexander Holtz and Lucas Raymond from Team Sweden and Lundell from Finland and Byfield from Canada, and there's a lot of weapons on Canada, period. You go down that list, and there's at least 5 freaking first-rounders on that list. You better put up and stand on your damn head. And Spencer Knight has that ability. He is one of the top goaltending prospects out there. Hopefully, with Roberto Luongo as a part of the development team down in Florida, they don't screw up the same way they screwed up with Jacob Markstrom, who was one of our top prospects at the time. But we screwed up with his development. He ended up developing a lot slower. He got shipped off to Vancouver, and then, had himself a nice year. It hurts. It does kind of hurt, but congratulations to Markstrom on that. So there are a couple guys, and the last one I want to recognize is Timmy Schultz. It's not Schultz. It's Tim Suzzles. I can't pronounce his last name. I can't do it. Regardless, he is the first-round pick from the Sens for Team Germany. And what's great about this, and as you see in the ticker, Jeopardy. What Jeopardy? What are you talking about? He got his draft announced by the great Alex Trebek, which is a moment that will be a viral video for years to come. Alex Trebek, rest in peace, good sir. He is a huge Ottawa Senators fan and a huge hockey fan. And with 2020 being the year that it was, with the draft being virtual, they did a whole Jeopardy skit where he got to announce the third overall pick being this kid, Tim Schultz. And how great of a moment that was. If you haven't seen it, it'll be up on the 90 Miles Media page, on the Facebook page. I'm definitely going to put it up there so I can share that kind of content with you guys. definitely take a look. What a really fun moment that was for Tim. And he is a dynamic player, third overall from Germany, German born. He is going to definitely be a force to be reckoned with and somebody that you should definitely take a look at. Um, just a quick reminder, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, search 90 Miles Media, and also be sure to subscribe to PCN Final Score as well on YouTube. Just search PCN Final Score, all one word, and you'll see there our YouTube channels there where these shows will be popping up and going off. Uh, what I love to say now is a little bit of a moment time with you guys as we're approaching the mark. Uh, I am thrilled to be doing this. Not a Hockey Market podcast has been something I've been wanting to do in the works for many times. And what's coming up is that winter is coming. I'm going to be giving you guys a weekly show. We'll have guests from Final Score and from the Podcast City Network family. We're going to delve into more that's coming up with the state of the NHL with the upcoming season. We will talk next week about World Juniors starting off and kicking off and start talking about the matchups for the World Juniors. We'll also be breaking down the rosters in the NHL from each division. Once they really officially say that the alignment is set, there's been rumors that there's still a few things that they're trying to figure out, but I'm pretty sure it's set. So be sure to follow, like, share, and subscribe anything and everything with the Not a Hockey Market podcast presented by Podcast City Network and the folks over at 90 Miles Media. I'm thrilled to bring this to you guys. Thrilled for you guys to see that, hey, Los Hispanos, we know a bit of puck too, man. We are definitely hockey fans, hockey knowledgeable, and you can find us anywhere and everywhere. Want to be a part of the show? Drop me a line, hit me up on one of my Instagram handles at 90 Miles Media. You can send me a message, let me know. Be sure to follow, like, and share and subscribe. Just a random hockey fact to leave you with. A Wayne Gretzky rookie card just sold at auction for $1.29 million. So if you have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card, hold on to that sucker. I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of change. Who knows? Maybe the NHL guys they could use that chunk of change, right? So, thank you guys all so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure. That's all I got for you, boys. Remember, just because it say, oh, it's not a hockey market, don't mean we don't know our shit. Be sure to follow us once again on all of our social media channels as you see going below. And we will talk to you guys another day. Thank you so much for joining us. Cheers.